Welcome to LVT-SHOWBIZ, the place to get the fastest, highest quality, most interesting updates and new perspectives on Chinese entertainment.
Sukai, Songyun, you are my amulet in a silent 10-year love story that shook the Chinese entertainment industry. The 7 words that moved millions of hearts. The stage lights that day weren't overly bright. They were soft, like the sunlight at the end of the day, gently filtering through the rows of audience seats, wrapping Sukai's shoulders in a thin veil of light. The hall was packed, yet no one made a sound. It was as if the air had paused, waiting for something important to happen. He stood there, not as a glamorous movie star promoting his latest project, but like an ordinary man gathering every ounce of courage to say something he had kept in his heart for far too long. Facing him was Songyun. Petite, her hair softly brushing her shoulders, her bright eyes always carrying a secret smile. Just one glance at her could make you feel the warmth she radiated, a kind of comfort that made people want to come closer and never leave. That moment, every whisper fell silent. Sukai took a deep breath, his shoulders trembling slightly as if to shake off a weight. Then, the words slipped from his lips, clear, steady, and filled with sincerity. "You are my amulet." 7 short words. In Chinese, they might simply translate to "you are my talisman," but the way he said it, with eyes that seemed to place his entire world into that gaze, turned them into a confession, a vow that could not be taken lightly. For a fleeting moment, the lights, the crowd, the sound of cameras clicking, all faded. Only the two of them remained in the midst of a sea of people, sharing a moment that time itself could never erase. Songyun didn't respond immediately. She pressed her lips together, her lashes trembling, as though she was trying to hold something back. People say the eyes are the windows to the soul, and at that moment, her gaze seemed intent on keeping this image, carrying it with her for life. Amulet, a vow without a wedding ring. In love, many choose grand public proposals, dazzling diamond rings, enormous bouquets of roses. Sukai chose something else, simple, yet profound. In Eastern culture, an amulet is a small object people carry to ward off misfortune and keep peace close. It's not merely a protective charm, it's also where people place their trust. But when that word was used to describe the bond between these two, it no longer referred to an object. It became a person. A heart. For Sukai, Songyun was his amulet, the person who made him stronger, steadier, and braver in the face of the entertainment industry's storms. In a world where rumors, pressure, and fierce competition could bring anyone down, she was the calm anchor that helped him keep the best part of himself intact. This wasn't a careless compliment. It was a vow without a wedding ring, a silent promise that said, "I will protect you, just as you have protected my heart." When he said it, Sukai didn't need the audience to fully understand its weight. He only needed Songyun to know. To understand that, in his eyes, she was never just a colleague, but a part of his life, a part he never wanted to lose. Sukai's deepest regret. People often say the greatest regrets aren't about what we did wrong, but about the things we never dared to do. For Sukai, that regret had a name, Songyun. In a rare interview, when asked about his most memorable moment, he fell silent for a long while before suddenly confessing, "If I had been braver and more genuine back then, maybe things would have been different." This wasn't the answer of an actor dodging a journalist's question. It was the truth, the lingering ache of a man who once had a chance but let it slip away. When he was younger, he thought time was endless. That simply sharing the set, exchanging countless lines together, and spending hours side by side would naturally lead somewhere. But he forgot that in showbiz, a new film contract, a flight abroad, or a single rumor could change everything. When the moment passed, all he had left were memories of the times he wanted to speak but stayed silent, the times he wanted to hold on but let go. That space only grew wider over the years, becoming a permanent part of him. A decade of silent love. Their journey began with early works like The Sword and the Brocade. On screen, they were the classic bickering couple, falling for each other through lines of dialogue, glances, and a blend of sweetness and heartache. Off-screen, they were close colleagues, sharing stories no one else could understand. Those 10 years weren't fireworks but a steady flame, burning quietly, steadily, without ever fading. They never said it aloud, but their eyes and actions told their own story. Sukai expressed his feelings in the smallest ways, watching her from across the press room, handing her a glass of water when she coughed, asking softly how she was after a long day of filming. Songyun responded in her own gentle way, waiting for him in the hallway after wrap, smiling kindly when teased, and trusting his words completely. They didn't need vows or weddings. They only needed to know that, among hundreds of faces in the blinding glare of stage lights, they could always find each other, quietly, but never lost. When public was no longer a secret. When they finally decided to go public, social media nearly exploded. Thousands of congratulatory messages flooded every platform. Yet, no one was truly shocked. Most fans had already read the story long ago, through the way they looked at each other, stood close at events, or through candid behind-the-scenes clips that were enough to set the internet on fire. Going public didn't change their love, it only made it more transparent and protected. They no longer had to dodge cameras or invent excuses for every appearance together. Instead, they enjoyed each moment as if to say to the world, "We have chosen each other, and we will keep choosing each other." They became proof that in a loud, fast-paced world, true love can still exist. And sometimes, the most important thing isn't grand promises, but two people quietly choosing to stay by each other's side, through storms and sunshine alike. Mist in the Green, the stage for a reunion. After the phenomenal success of You Are More Beautiful Than Starlight, Sukai and Tan Songyun thrilled fans again by reuniting in Mist in the Green. The project had been eagerly anticipated by both the media and the public months before filming began. Set in a modern urban landscape, the series blended romance with real-life challenges. Tan Songyun played an introverted ceramic artist who cherished delicacy, slow living, and lasting values. Sukai portrayed a young tech entrepreneur, outwardly lively and humorous, but deeply responsible within. Their differences, like opposite poles of a magnet, first brought friction and heated debates. Yet, those very contrasts drew them closer. From misunderstandings, they learned to listen, to trust, and to become each other's green oases amid the hustle of city life. Producers placed high expectations on the show, banking on the pair's natural chemistry, the fresh career choices for the characters, and the cultural and personality contrasts. Many believed Mist in the Green wouldn't just be a love story, it would be a reminder of the value of connection between two very different souls. The power of gentleness. In entertainment, where the spotlight shines bright but pressure looms large, gentleness is the hardest thing to hold on to. Yet Sukai and Tan Songyun proved that gentleness doesn't mean weakness or surrender. On the contrary, it's the strongest shield they have to protect each other from scandal and storms. On screen, they became characters who understood and lifted each other up. Off-screen, they lived the same way, respecting boundaries, guarding privacy, and always sharing a gaze filled with trust. This is why audiences don't just see them as a screen couple, but as a love story unfolding in real life. That gentleness extended to the crew and their fans. Whenever they appeared together, the atmosphere seemed to slow and warm. In a noisy, cutthroat world, they chose to love quietly but steadily, so that no matter the challenges, they could still walk forward hand in hand. Amulet and a safe harbor. The 7 words "You are my amulet" have become a symbol among their fans. They are neither loud nor showy, but they carry the weight of a vow. No matter how the world changes, I will still choose you. For many, life is a search for such an amulet, someone who stands by you on your worst days and your brightest. For Sukai and Tan Songyun, they found that in each other. Whenever they grew weary, they knew that turning around meant finding the other person there, ready to listen and share. In the turbulent years of their careers, their love became a safe harbor, free from judgment, filled only with acceptance and understanding. Fans believe this strength is what allowed them to weather hardships without losing themselves. And their journey, with all its highs and lows, continues, not to prove anything to the world, but to write more chapters in the story called Us. Behind-the-scenes moments that never made it on air. If what the audience saw on screen was a carefully directed story, then the behind-the-scenes was where raw, unfiltered emotions came alive. One night during You Are More Beautiful Than Starlight filming, they had to shoot a rain scene. The water pumps poured down artificial rain, but the temperature was barely above 10 degrees Celsius. Freezing water streamed down their hair and soaked their clothes, making every actor shiver. Tan Songyun had to stand in the rain waiting for the male lead, her eyes full of longing, lips trembling from the cold. When the director called cut, she hadn't even reached for her coat before she was drenched, her hair plastered to her cheeks. Without hesitation, Sukai shrugged off his thick coat and gently draped it over her shoulders. He didn't speak, just gave her a light squeeze and a deep look that seemed to say, "I'm here, don't worry." That moment never made it into any scene, but everyone on set remembered it. It wasn't acting, it was instinct, the kind of protectiveness a man reserves for someone he truly treasures. Years later, a crew member recalled, "You could see clearly that look wasn't for just a co-star. The slip-ups in interviews." In all his years in the industry, Sukai had never openly admitted his feelings for Tan Songyun to the press. But he often slipped up in ways that only fueled fans' belief in them. In one television interview, when asked about his ideal type, Sukai smiled faintly and spoke slowly. "A girl with a warm smile, bright eyes, and someone who makes me feel at peace when I'm with her." Fans immediately thought of Tan Songyun. It was the perfect description of her, from her gentle smile to her lively eyes. When the reporter pressed him for confirmation, Sukai just smiled, lowered his head slightly, and neither denied nor confirmed. That silence only stirred more buzz, with social media dissecting every nuance of his expression. It wasn't the only time. In many fan meetings, he'd casually mention someone who brought him peace and lightened his workload pressures. Though never naming her, those familiar knew this someone always matched Tan Songyun's silhouette. Mist in the Green, recreating and continuing the story. In Mist in the Green, Sukai and Tan Songyun shed their past roles as dashing young lord and proud noblewomen from historical dramas. This time, they were two modern souls, where love was tested by career demands, lifestyle differences, and invisible walls from the past. Sukai played a free-spirited photographer who loved exploration. Tan Songyun portrayed a reserved book editor, cautious and introverted. They came from worlds that seemed unrelated, yet they were drawn together by simple moments: a cup of coffee, sheltering from the rain, a quiet glance through a window. The director admitted, "They don't need dramatic kissing scenes or intense lines. Just one glance, one touch, and the whole crew goes silent watching." Because at that moment, emotion pours through the screen without needing anything extra. Their mix of contrast and natural chemistry turned Mist in the Green into something both romantic and real, many fans saying it felt like watching their real-life story. Fans, witnesses from the start. Fans of Sukai and Tan Songyun aren't just admirers of their acting. They are like companions who've watched both grow, on screen and in life. They were there when the two were awkward on the red carpet, not yet knowing how to pose together. They saw the press conferences where they began exchanging glances and banter like old friends. Fans have archived thousands of tiny moments: the unconscious brush of hands while passing a microphone, a stolen glance in a crowd, the beaming smile when catching the other's gaze. One longtime fan once wrote, "I don't need them to go public, I don't need dating photos. As long as they keep smiling when they're next to each other, that's enough." Because the most beautiful love doesn't need proof, this fandom became a living diary of their story, keeping every fragment until, when pieced together, it revealed a picture colored with sincerity and warmth. Rumors and how they faced them. In showbiz, the spotlight doesn't just illuminate the glamour, it magnifies every detail of a star's private life. Sukai and Tan Songyun's love wasn't spared from public scrutiny. Rumors of breakups, whispers of a third person, and speculations about invisible conflicts all once swirled around them like raging waves. But instead of issuing heated rebuttals or long explanations, they chose silence. They believed words couldn't prove everything, only time could. And indeed, whenever they appeared together after such rumors, they would still laugh and talk naturally, eyes brimming with trust. That was the clearest, strongest answer. Their faith in each other outweighed any gossip. Their calm wasn't indifference, it was maturity in love. They understood that hasty reactions could complicate matters. Instead, they let their bond speak for itself. In the end, rumors popped like soap bubbles, shimmering for a moment, then gone, leaving behind a relationship that was steadfast and unshaken. Lessons from a lasting love. Their story isn't just a beautiful romance between two celebrities, it's living proof of patience and respect and love. In a world where everything moves at lightning speed, they chose to walk slowly, to listen, to understand, and to cherish each moment together. They don't need flowery promises or dramatic public displays of affection. Instead, they nurture their bond with quiet care and attention. In their eyes, love doesn't need to be loud to be deep. Sometimes, one warm glance is enough to bring peace to the other's heart. They also show a simple but profound truth: protecting each other from the outside world can be more important than proving love to it. When storms hit, they don't rush to clear their names in public, they face it together, in silence. That unity forms an unshakable foundation, one no rumor or pressure can break. The lesson they leave is for anyone who values a relationship: slow down, listen more, and never let the outside world dictate the worth of your love. The amulet in everyone's heart. The 7 words "You are my amulet" have now become inseparable from Sukai and Tan Songyun. It's not just a romantic line Sukai once said in a special moment, it's a silent promise. No matter how fierce the storms, they will remain each other's anchor. That amulet isn't just about protection, it's also the source of strength that keeps them moving forward. It reminds us that everyone has an amulet in life, whether it's a partner, a family member, or a friend who stands by us in our hardest times. The most important thing is to cherish them while we can, because once lost, nothing can replace them. For Sukai and Songyun, their journey isn't over. Perhaps in the future, they'll continue working together, bringing more dreamlike love stories to the screen. Or maybe they'll choose to quietly walk forward side by side, without show, yet enough for both to feel happiness. Either way, one thing is certain, they've found their home, and that home is each other. And maybe, their story will inspire hearts weary from life's rush, that true love doesn't need many words. It only needs enough patience, enough trust, and two hearts that keep choosing each other.
Thanks for watching LVT Showbiz. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to stay tuned for more exciting stories from the world of Chinese celebrities. Leave your thoughts in the comments, we'd love to hear from you.